No? We're talking about permeability. It is called selectively permeable. Selectively permeable. So a window would be permeable. It doesn't, anything can go in or out. A wall would be impermeable. It blocks everything. A screen door would be selectively permeable. It's going to let air and light in, but it's going to keep insects out. Selectively permeable. Think like a bodyguard or a bouncer, letting some people in and some people not letting in. Cell division and mitosis. Make sure you guys know the 5 steps in order. Remember the 5-letter phrase. IPMAT. IPMAT. Interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. You guys did these primarily. I was a bit jealous when I was out. Try to remember back to that IPMAT. Cell cycle. You guys colored like a wheel in. You remember? Oh, man, right? Mitosis results in 2 daughter cells that are what? Starts with I. Then? Identical. What are the levels of organization in living things? A group of cells is called what? Tissue. Good. A group of tissues are called what? Organ. A bunch of the same organs that work together are called organ system. Good. And then organ systems make up an organism. You need to know what an autotroph and what a heterotroph are. These are newer words we've been talking about from our food chain and food web.
Producer, consumer.
Yes, which one is a producer? Autotroph or heterotroph?
Autotroph.
Autotroph. And that means the consumer is a heterotroph. Number 15. What is exhaling removed from your body during cellular respiration? Chase. Carbon dioxide. Otherwise known as CO2. Okay. Remember, just because number 16 does not have a fill in the blank does not mean it's any less important. Okay? As far as parental strategies go, more advanced organisms tend to be internal fertilizers, like mammals, birds, and reptiles. They do not have as many offspring, they tend to be higher in the food chain, and they have longer parental investment. Less advanced organisms tend to fertilize externally, like fish and amphibians. They have more offspring because they're lower in the food chain, and the parents usually are not involved at all, or very little. We'll pick up from here tomorrow. Remember, this was homework that's now past due. I will finish on my own, get it turned in. Also, you want to work on plastic ocean. That's what you do. Start studying for your benchmark next week.
again, that whole idea of just be yourself, don't try to be someone else, don't be fake, don't try to be someone who you think other people want you to be, because you're not even happy. So just be you. All right, which do you prefer? Would you rather have super ninja powers or be amazing and like a genius at coding? So ninja, coding. So if you're a master coder, then you could like make a robot
I can
to
hack.
be a ninja for you.
I can hack and then like get money.
All right, share out. Again, I'm not really sure why I feel like all the share outs now are just another poll today. Would you rather only eat orange or red food for the rest of your life? And you can't like, oh, I'm just gonna add food coloring. Like the food has to be orange or red.
Bread.
Orange
Orange flavored things.
Yeah, that's what I said. So for example, like a pepper. Like peppers come in all different colors, but you could only either eat the orange or the red.
I don't like peppers.
Can't color orange. Cannot put food coloring in. Alright, raise your hand. Orange. Orange food only. Red food only.
I like spicy.
Yeah,
Spicy's good. Spicy's food's always been good.
there's like more choices of red food than there are orange food. Like I can't think of any. And then yeah, someone just said like Sour Patch Kids. Like the red version of candy is way better than the orange version of candy.
That's lies.
I know some people
Complete lies.
Medicine too. It's like
What, you would rather take orange flavored medicine? I hate cherry flavored medicine. Like it tastes like actual
Alright, I'll give you a minute or so to log in.
Fanta.
Then we're gonna do IXL again. Keep in mind, you're doing the snapshot, and then even just today, during lunch, I actually added a fourth option. There's a bunch of options I could have added for IXL, but I don't want to overwhelm people. So after you do the snapshot, because a couple people are already done in this class, and some people are gonna get finished, you can go ahead and do 7J10, 7J11, and 7J12. That's what I assigned earlier in the week and before somebody told me you had to take a snapshot. I did assign a new one, 7K6. So that one will come up first in the recommendations. You don't have to do it first, but these are the ones that I assigned.
What? I love cherry flavored Coke. I love cherry flavored Fanta.
Mouse pose.
What? Why is he here?
I'm letting these more.
No, it's not. They're both better. They're both good. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. 100%. That's fucking crap. Oh,
Again, folders up here for people who did their homework. All right. We are going to do a couple problems from our notes, nothing too crazy. So, yeah, we're going to actually go back. Remember I told you we skipped the graphing part of section 5.2. We're going to go back to that. So I believe it's slide 33. We're only going to officially do a couple examples, and then we're going to go through and just kind of like do the problems together. And then I'll post during next period. And then I have an activity for everybody to help us just practice a little bit more. So again, I believe it is slide 33, or yeah, slide 33. So we learned, and we even had a quiz on all the ways to tell if something was in a proportional relationship, except graphs. Now, we caught up with the SGO stuff, and then since we were already doing proportions, I decided just to finish up proportions. And then the reason we can go back is because this part of the notes and the last part of the notes actually both have to do with graphs. And the last part of the notes is what we're doing now with one extra thing. So it kind of flows together. So I'm thinking even for next year, I might even teach it like that. But anyway, so we're going to be on slide 33. So again, the only thing we didn't talk about is how to see if something is in a proportional relationship from a graph. So either get a piece of paper if you don't have your notes. You do not need your Chromebook. So if you're charging it, you can let it be. Just go back to your seat. Yes. Why are you sitting over there? But I just said you don't have to be there. Like, you don't need it. Go back to your seat. Go back to your seat. If you're charging around the room, that's 100% fine. You need your computer right now. Alright. So we first have to kind of go over the rules. This is one instance where you don't really learn the rules while you do the problem. You gotta go over the rules and then we use the rules to help us determine or not. I really like this method because it's more visual. By the end of the lesson, you should honestly be able to look at a graph and tell me if it's proportional or not proportional. Just by looking at it. Before, we had to do all that math. So this is really nice for people who are more of a visual learner rather than numbers people. So there's three ways, three things. It's really like a check-off list. Three little check-offs to see if something's in a proportional relationship. So first thing I want to do is just go over a graph because I know it's been a little bit since we've done it. So we have our graph and we have two axes, the X and the Y. So I'm going to label them here. And I always like to label them if they're not labeled. Now there's a reason I want to go over this because when we did tables, I specifically asked you to label the one on the top, the Y, and the one that would be on the bottom, the X, because I kept saying, when we get to graphing, you're going to have to know who the X is and who the Y is. So we're here with graphs. So I'm going to go to my table because this table represents the picture. And it says, my Y is total cost. So this is my Y, and my X is tickets. Okay? Not every graph is going to have a table, and not every table is going to have a graph. Yes? Could you wait till I'm literally done my thoughts? Like, you guys have no etiquette. Like, all year long, it's like I'm in the middle of explaining something, and then you're like, can I go to the bathroom? Like, wait till I'm done explaining something. Like, if you're something in the hallway and I was just like, I don't care. Yeah, I'm gonna go get a drink of water. I'll be right back. You'd be like, wow, that was really rude. That's exactly what you guys do all the time. Just wait till someone's done talking. Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. Anyway, the whole thing is, if you have a table, and that's something that we're going to be practicing next week. If you have a table, those are points. There's X and there's a Y. So you're going to be expected to be able to take the points from a table and graph them. And you're also going to be expected to take the points from a graph and go back and make a table. So we're going to start them together, but eventually we're going to do a little bit of practice next week with them being separate. Anyway, so once we have our points on a graph, you can look at the graph. And like I said, from the 3 things we're going to go over now, you're going to be able to tell, is it proportional or if it's not proportional. Now, you need to have these 3 things in order for it to work. If one of those things doesn't work, it is not going to be in a proportional relationship. Number 1, the line has to be straight. Is that a straight line? Yes. Now, if you talk about a line, lines are always straight. So here's an example of something that's not a line. What's it when it has a rounded part? It's a curve. So that's not a straight line. That's not a straight line. Those are 2 pieces that have a straight line, but they have to go together. They can't be like, oh, switch direction. So these are all examples of things that you're going to see in your mathematical careers, but they're not straight lines. Okay? Next thing it has to do is start at the origin, or we know it as 0, 0. So I'm going to label this part origin. Okay? So if 1 and 2 happen, guess what? 3 is going to happen too. 3 is the thing we've been doing all chapter, finding the unit rate. So if you have a straight line that starts at 0, 0, or the origin, you are going to have the same unit rate. Now this is where you're going to have to do a little bit of work. You're going to have to find the unit rate, because if you say, oh, they have the same unit rate, I'm going to say, well, what is it? So if all these 3 things happen, you're going to have a proportional relationship. If 2 happen and 1 doesn't work. Just like a true-false test, the whole thing has to be true, right? In order for it to, you put a T. If 3 things are listed and one of them's wrong, it's false. Same thing here. All 3 things have to happen for it to be in a proportional relationship. So let's take a look at our graph. Is that a straight line?
Yes.
Yes. Check. Does this graph start at the origin, or 0, 0?
Yeah.
Yes. Does everybody have the same unit rate? Yes. Now, we're going to take it for granted. It should. So let's check. So remember I said points are a little funny. When you have a point, it's X, comma, Y. But when you find the unit rate, it's Y over X. So be super careful that you don't mix them up. And guess what? You're going to mix them up, because that's just what happens when you're learning. So you always want to double check and you could have done the whole thing right, and then you did the unit rate wrong. So be careful. So let's look at each point. Now, if you remember, I think on that one quiz, the study guide, there was a table, and I asked, is this proportional? And there was 0.00, and it was really confusing.
Sorry, I get nervous.
Goodbye. It's really confusing because 0 divided by 0 is 0. It didn't make sense. Well, now you should know, oh, that was just telling me it went through the origin. So if you see a 0, 0 on a table, it's actually a good thing. You're like, oh, great, it starts right at 0, 0. Perfect. The rest of the numbers are what we're going to look at. So this point right here, Let's take a look. X first. It's 1, 8. 1 on the X and 8 on the Y. So what you're gonna also see somebody, or the questions might say, interpret the data. When it says interpret the data, it's just asking you, what does this graph mean? So look, 1 ticket costs $8. The next point is 2 tickets cost $16. So this point is 2, 16. The next point says 3 tickets cost $24. They match up with the X and the Y with their labels. So this point is 3, 24, and the last point, which isn't the last point, it's just the last point on our graph, 4, 32. That says 4 tickets cost $32. So this isn't the new part. We're going to be dividing to see what is the unit rate. So remember, to do that, we're going to divide Y by X. So this is X and this is Y. So the 8 is on the top because it's money, and that's what we could say right here, dollars over ticket. And 1 is on the bottom. So 8 divided by 1 is 8. Everyone has to be 8. 16 over 2 equals 8. What's 24 divided by 3? 8. Oh, I wrote 8. And then $32 for 4 tickets. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So because they're all the same, when we go to write it, we would say $8 per ticket. All right, so they all have the same unit rate. So now we say they are proportional. It's a lot of explanation, but once you get the hang of it, like I said, by the end of this period, you're going to be able to look at the graph and say prop, not prop. If it's not prop, and then we're going to get into why or why not, like we can make an explanation. But for now, just get used to, train yourself for the next 10 minutes to be able to identify if it's prop or not prop. Because like I said, once you get it, you get it. It's going to be easy. All right, moving on. Same question, new problem. We're going to use the same checklist for everybody. So here's my list, and again, you probably notice the tables, they were from stuff that we did earlier. So this was about the soccer tournament, people going to the soccer tournament. 1 family member was $7, 2 was $8, 3 was $9, and 4 was $10. So we did this problem from a table. So here's what it looks like on a graph. Let's go through the checklist. Is that a straight line?
Yes.
All right, so far so good.
No.
Does it start at the origin?
No.
No. You're done. You're done. Prop or not prop?
Not prop.
Not prop. Now, mathematically speaking, because it doesn't start at the origin, look what happens when we do the unit rate. 7 over 1 equals 7, and then 8 over 2 equals 4. They're not the same unit rate. So if it doesn't start at 0, 0, it's not going to be the same unit rate. So it's actually easier when it's not prop, because you literally go through the checklist. It's a straight line, doesn't start at 0, 0, so I'm telling you now, if it doesn't start at 0, 0, it doesn't have the same unit rate. But if you don't believe me, all you have to do is the math. Remember, this one was 9 divided by 3, and that got us 3, and this one was 10 divided by 4, right? And that got us 2.5, or $2.50. Not the same numbers. You need some water? So, let's go back to the graphs I drew. Straight line?
No.
Does it start at the origin?
Yes.
Yeah, so sometimes it can start at the origin, but it might not be a straight line. This is an exponential. This is something you'll do in algebra with x squares. This starts at the origin, but is that a straight line?
No.
No, that's something you'll be doing in pre-calculus or calculus, those of you who stick with it. It's a sine function. So, yeah, that's fine. I don't really know the equation, I just know it's a sine function. This one you'll be doing in algebra in high school. It is not a straight line. It does not start at the origin. And, of course, obviously, it wouldn't have the same unit rate. Okay, so even if you don't know what these things are, you could literally tell me if it's proportional or not by running through your checklist. That's what I mean by it being visual. But you gotta know the three things. So if you don't know the three things, it's gonna be a little bit harder for you. Now I know a while back I passed out a cheat sheet, and this was on there, and we hadn't gotten to it yet, but now we did. It had all that. Remember, it was like a flow chart of rates and ratios, and then it had the graph stuff. So it is on there as a cheat sheet. All right, so that's pretty much the notes that we're gonna do right now. So we're gonna run through these, and you're gonna tell me if it's prop or not prop. Haven't even erased the board, and you guys already know. Let's run through, or let's do, who says this is prop proportional relationship? Who says not prop? Who can tell me why? Or just shout it out. It doesn't start at the origin. Let's run through though. Is it a straight line?
Yes.
Check. But you already said it didn't start at the origin, so that means, and it also doesn't have
The same unit rate.
So we would have check XX. Next. Prop or not prop?
Prop.
Prop. All right. Why?
Starts at the origin, has a straight line.
Oh, great. And if I said okay, what's the unit rate? It's the same, but it's 2. So look, you could even go, because it still had the table. I told you we're going to start with both. You can go either way. 2/1, 4/2, because it's y/x. And then the last one was 6/3, which is 2. Or you could do it here, right? 2/1 is 2. 4/2 is 2. And 6/3 is 2. Awesome. Okay, again, a little iffy at the beginning, but once you look at it and you're like, oh, is that really all it is? Yes, that's all it is. And I really want to go over these because we're going to do the state testing in May 1st. I don't know if we're doing math or English first, but anyway, one of these or 3 of these they're going to be on there. So I want to make sure we go through it before that testing. All right, so we'll end there because we're going to do graphing, but we'll do that. We might not even do it in the notes. We might just do it on a worksheet. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is an activity. Unfortunately, I was running it off in blue, and then I ran out of paper, so I don't have enough new copies for everyone. So I'm just going to give everybody the regular white copies. Just classwork.
Thank you.
All right, so we're on the side with the 2 graphs that are already done for you. So there are little lines here because I want you to go through and check off all the 3 things.
Okay.
Alright, so work for a couple minutes on that. Now there's an explanation column where I'm gonna do that with you guys so I can show you how to answer the question. Because it's gonna say why or why not, and you're gonna explain with a script.
Hey, Joe. Yes. Ben, what? You have to do. What are you doing? Are you doing homework?
We're not doing homework, we're doing this. You're doing this. I'm asking you to do the first two boxes over here. We'll do the explanation together.
What if I finish that already?
Actually, we can do these on back.
You're not supposed to explain it, Ben. You're supposed to. Well, I'm supposed to wait. She said wait. She said wait. Yeah, I said wait. And she did.
Did everybody get a chance to decide if it was crop or not crop?
Yes.
Okay, so first one. Straight line.
Yes.
Starts at the origin.
Yes.
Same unit rate.
Yes.
So we say
Crop.
crop. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because the unit rate winds up being a decimal. But that's okay. It could have been, the decimal could have been money. Nothing specific about this problem, so we don't even need labels. So the tricky part here would be making sure we know what the unit rate is. And remember, x, comma, y. So this point is 5, comma, 6, because it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, like that. This next point is 10, comma, 12. And then the last point is 15, comma, 18. Right? So I'll do the work over here. Remember, we're going y divided by x. All right, we'll go. First of all, we don't have to do 0, 0 because 0, 0 just means yay, we started at the origin, so we're good. So we have 6 over 5 because it's the y divided by the x. What's 6 divided by 5? 1.2. You could have also left it as 6 divided by 5, but 1.2 is not, it's not bad. Everybody has to be 1.2. So then we have 12 divided by 10 equals, and then the last one is 18 divided by 15, 1.2. So we would say that the unit rate equals 1.2. And there's no label because there was no label on the graph. Now, here's the part that it's going to ask you. I'm 150% sure that a question like this is going to show up on the NJSLN, which is the state testing. When I say I'm going to give you a script, I am going to give you word for word what to write. Every time it's in a proportional relationship, you're going to write what I write. And every time it's not in a proportional relationship, you'll write what I write. It might change a little bit depending on what the unit rate is, right? This problem, the unit rate's 1.2, right? Is every problem going to have the same unit rate? No. So the only thing you're going to change on this script is the unit rate. So you're going to say, this graph represents a proportional relationship because, and then you're going to list all the 3 things we checked off. So let's write that down. This graph, or we don't even have to say represents, we can just say is a proportional relationship because, put a little colon, and I'm going to make a list.
Straight line.
1, it is a straight line. 2,
Starts at the origin.
literally just go in order. It starts at the origin. And 3,
Same unit rate.
it has the same unit rate, and this is the part that is different. You write a semicolon, and then you write the unit rate. So every time the unit rate's something like 5, you would write $5 per hour. So this one you would say, it has the same unit rate. I said you write it, 1.2. Now you don't have to make a list in the notes, because even though we didn't do it with the notes, because we're doing it now, I wrote the explanation for everybody as an example, so when I post it, it'll be there. I didn't make a list. I just wrote, this graph represents a proportional relationship because it has a straight line, comma. It starts at the origin, comma. It has the same unit rate, comma, whatever it was on there, 8, right? $8 per ticket. That's what I wrote on there. So there is an example of the explanation for everybody on the notes. But, so I know some people don't want to write a checklist. Maybe you want to write a sentence. That would be the sentence. Get rid of this and just use commas, right? You know, when you make a list, you use commas when you write. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Is it a straight line?
Yes.
Yes. Does it start at the origin?
No.
No. So will it have the same unit rate?
No.
No. Would you check to find out?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
No.
No. I mean, if the question says check, find the unit rates for all the numbers, you're going to have to do it. But I'm telling you, if the question says, is it proportional or not, explain why, you can stop. The first X, the first time it's not right, you can stop. So my explanation is going to say, this graph is
Not proportional.
not proportional because
It had a straight line.
we can even say, even though it's a straight line, because that was good, it what?
Doesn't start.
Not start at the origin and does
Not.
not have the same unit rate. You can literally use the same setup, but use negative words like does not, is not, whatever you want to say. So this one would be, line here. This graph is not a proportional relationship. Because two X's, you really only have to list two things. But I know some people want to have all three, and you could say, even though it has a straight line, it does not have the other two. But you don't have to add that in there. So the first time you get to an X, you would say, because it is not or doesn't, is not, oh, I should say does not. Does not or doesn't start at the origin. Okay? And the second thing that it doesn't do, it does not have the same unit rate. I promise this is the most writing I am ever going to ask you to do all year. And I'm even telling you what to say. You just change the unit rate if it's prop, and you just change the reasons why if it's not prop. So there you go. We have about 13 minutes left or so, and being that only one person in this entire room turned in their homework, and it was early, everyone else can finish it.
Yes.
I haven't done my homework.
I forgot how to do the word part.
Yeah, I'm not helping you. I was the one that turned it in, so.
I honestly don't care. Your answers are probably wrong.
No, my
Unless
answers
you
are all
needed the
correct.
calculator.
I did. We're allowed to use a calculator.
Yeah.
I have literally 2 scientific calculators, one in my desk, one in my locker. I have a personal desk at home. No!
Guys, one thing that's going to help set up everything is writing your key. If you're not sure where everything goes, write a key first so you can match them up. I did put extra homeworks. I threw everything out yesterday because you remember